welcome into TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and a really exciting video I've got coming up for you today, if I may say so myself, because today we're going to be hearing from the man himself, Lionel Messi, who's done a really in-depth interview there with Mundo Deportivo. That came out yesterday, and there was so many intriguing topics that he touched on, because as we know, MD are very, very close there to the current board, so I was quite surprised by the timing of this interview, but I've got to say, Messi was incredibly honest. He was very, very open about a number of topics, and I think when I'm going to bring you here the words that he said, it is very, very interesting, because in today's video, we're going to be covering there the words of Messi on the controversial topics of the month, from Bartomeo's social media scandal to Eric Abidal calling out the players. We're also going to be talking there about Messi's words on Ernesto Valverde, and also here the differences now that Quique Setién is bringing to the club. There's also, of course, plenty of talk from Messi on this season's Champions League, and especially what went wrong in the past, along with very intriguing words on the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar Jr., Lautaro Martinez, and also some interesting words there on his relationship with Antoine Griezmann. All of that's coming up. Get yourself something to eat, something to drink, and let's enjoy this. Because let's kick off with that controversy. Lionel Messi, straight up there as that interview began, he was asked straight away, what did you make of all this stuff here surrounding Bartomeu? What did you think of what you've heard? And most importantly, did the president speak with you about what happened? Messi then said, I was a little surprised. He said, honestly, I wasn't actually in Barcelona at the time. I was travelling. And when I arrived back, I learned about everything. He said, the president told us only the same that you've heard in the public domain. He said exactly the same thing to us that he said there at the press conference. He said he basically told us there what the situation was, what had happened, and I honestly can't say more than that right now. Messi was then asked, did the president convince you when he spoke to you about what was going on? And Messi said then, the truth is, I see it as very, very strange right now when something like this happens. He said, we've also been told there'll be proof, there'll be evidence. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that, whether it's true or whether it's not. We can't say much more right now, but we are going to wait and see how all of this develops. Looking at the situation, it's a very strange subject that we will keep an eye on. So Messi there, he didn't completely downplay it, or he didn't just sweep it under the carpet there. He didn't avoid the question. He did say, look, we're going to have to wait and see, because as we know, I don't think this saga is over yet. But Messi there straight up saying, this is strange. This is very, very weird to be going on inside the club, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. Messi is watching you. Messi was then asked, of course he was, about the words of Eric Abidal against the players, of course, which also caused controversy a few weeks ago. And Messi again on this, very, very honest, and I think really interesting words from him here. He said, I don't know what happened for him to attack the players like that, but I felt like I had to respond because we all felt attacked. Because I felt there as though he was attacking the dressing room as a whole, and too many things are said about the players for me to be silent. We're told here that the players handle everything, that the players hire and remove coaches. We're told that we, the players, bring in new signings, and especially those things are all said about me. He said, people talk like I have all of the power and make all of the decisions, and it bothered me that a person from the club, the technical secretary, should blame the players for the dismissal of a coach. Messi said, it seemed crazy. He said he's the technical secretary who makes the decisions, and he must take charge of them. He's the one who makes them, and he has to take ownership. And that's why I felt like I had to clarify the situation. I couldn't let the sporting director attack me in that way. Messi was then asked, following up there on that answer, he said, did you feel like you had to speak because of how you're portrayed right now? And Messi said, I don't know, because he said it's also happened to me in the Argentine national team, where it always seems to be said that the only players who play for Argentina are the players that Messi wants, that Messi chooses the coaches, that Messi's friends play. That's what I'm always told. And the fact that being in one place so long, knowing the club, knowing Barcelona, and also knowing everything that goes on in Argentina, it hurt me, because it's not like that. There are often decisions, there are often things that go on that I actually don't agree with, and there are things that are done against what I say. And Messi ended there the conversation on those controversial topics by saying, quite frankly, he said the truth is that from January right up until now, we've had problem after problem after problem. What we need right now is calm and to focus on the football. We should be thinking about the matches that are coming up, and we should be trying to grow as a team, That should be our focus. Messi, of course, then was asked about his future at Barcelona. He was asked there, could you imagine leaving the club one day? And Messi, as he usually does in these situations, replied with what we all knew was coming. He said, I've said it many, many times, but my idea is to stay here for a long, long time. He said, as long as the club and the people want me, I will remain here. There will never be a problem. We want a winning project and we want to continue here to compete for all of the titles. That's what I want to achieve. That is why I want to stay here to win into the Champions League. I want to continue winning league titles and I will always aspire to doing that. And he also said something which I think is often overlooked when people talk about Messi leaving Barcelona in the near future. He said, I love living in the city of Barcelona. He said, I've got a great life here, my family too. He said, it's true that I do miss Rosario very much back in Argentina, but here in Barcelona, this is my home now. I've been here longer than I have in my home in Argentina. I live a life in Barcelona that I like very much, and of course, I want to stay. And there was also some interesting words here on that clause that we hear mentioned so much with regard to Messi, and that's why possibly he could leave this summer because of that clause in his contract. But Messi said, you know what? I've actually had the option to leave every single summer. He said it's not only because of that clause. He said many times during my career, I could have easily left the club if I wanted. There were many clubs that were willing to pay my release clause, but at no time did it occur to me to actually leave. And it doesn't now either. I repeat it again and again and again. As long as the club want me, there is no problem. Messi also spoke there about the arrival of Quique Setién replacing Ernesto Valverde. He said, I already knew Setién having faced him before. He said, we'd spoken when our paths crossed in the past. He said he's a very close person. He likes to talk to you. He's very aware of all the little details surrounding the game. He said he loves football a lot and he's constantly talking about it. And right now, we're going through a process that always happens when you change coaches. Because Messi said there, each coaches have their own ideas, another way of playing the game, another way of seeing the game develop. He said, little by little, we're adapting to what he wants from us, but it's not easy because we come from a time that under Valverde, we had a different way of playing. We're trying now new things, we're trying to attack better, we're trying to press more, we're trying different movements, and maybe now, Messi admitted, we're bringing back things that we may have lost a little. That's what we're trying to bring back, and it's all a process that does take time. It was interesting then, though, that Messi did finish their little segment on Quique Setién by saying the truth is we are growing and we still have a lot to improve. We still want to do things better, and if we aspire to win what we want this season, we have to improve a lot. And Messi then indeed went on to talk more in depth about what the team needed in order to win the Champions League this season. Messi said there, I think we need to be more consistent. We need to put these things into practice as soon as we possibly can. We need to be more reliable, not to make silly mistakes that we have done so far and we've committed throughout the season. We cannot let what happened to us in Rome or in Liverpool happen again. We must handle all of these details because in the Champions League, Messi said there, every detail matters. We have to try to reach 100% in everything in order to win it. Messi was then pressed on exactly what did go wrong in Rome and also, of course, in Liverpool. And Messi there said, the truth is that I find no explanation, especially towards the Liverpool defeat, because Rome can happen once and it can take you by surprise. But if it then happens again the following year, to me, it's very difficult how we could allow this to happen. And he was then asked as well, talking about Liverpool, was he surprised there by Liverpool's loss to Atletico Madrid? And Messi said there, the truth is, no, we wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. He said on the day of the draw, we actually spoke in the locker room and said that it would be very, very close between the two teams because Atletico always compete in this competition. And in a two-leg duel, they're very, very strong. And they showed it again against Liverpool. And they will compete until the end of that tie. Messi was then asked about his biggest Champions League rivals. Who does he expect to challenge us for the title this year? And he said all of the remaining teams are complicated and difficult. PSG went to Dortmund and lost. Liverpool went to Atletico and lost. But I think in the end, it'll be Liverpool, it'll be Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid are the strongest teams right now. And finally, on the Champions League, Messi was asked there if he could see himself lifting another Champions League title in Istanbul this season. And Messi said there, hopefully. It is something that I've wanted again for so many years. Ever since we won our last title, I really, really want to enjoy it again. And he was then asked if he wanted to face Liverpool once again this year. Did he want to come up against them again? And Messi said there, let's focus first on Napoli. But if we now move on to some individual personnel that Messi was asked with in this interview here with MD, he was asked first and foremost about his relationship there with Antoine Griezmann. He said, look, we have a good relationship, as we do with all the players. I get on well with Griezmann. He said outside the field as well, we also have a good relationship. And obviously said at the beginning, it was difficult. We'd need to get to know each other, both on and off the pitch. He said on the pitch, we need to understand here each other's movements. But he said, look, he comes from a different style of play. He's had to adapt here to Barcelona. And he also said that Griezmann had to play, first of all, on the left-hand side. He said he doesn't really feel best on the left, but today, in the last few games, he's playing much, much more central, which gives us more possibilities to connect on the field. He said we're much, much closer now. And if we don't connect, or we don't quite find each other with passes, he said it doesn't just happen because we get along badly. It doesn't happen because we don't have a relationship, but just because sometimes, on the field, certain situations can go out of your control. It's not always easy. Messi was then asked about his recovery to his close friend Luis Suárez. He said he's absolutely crazy to return and he's eagerly awaiting his time to return to the team. He said we're going to have to wait and see how that injury progresses and how his recovery goes, but hopefully Suárez will come back as soon as possible because he's a very, very important player for us. He's fundamental to this team, and in these kind of games, I think we've noticed that we really need him back. Messi was then asked about Cristiano Ronaldo. He was asked whether Real had lost a lot without Ronaldo's influence this season. Messi replied, they've lost a lot of goals. He said that was obviously going to happen when you lost Ronaldo, but it's not only goals because Ronaldo also gives you many other things. I've said it before, he makes goal scoring seem normal. A player there who scores you 50 goals a season, it will affect you when you lose him because even though Real have great players, Ronaldo, he still scores 50 goals a season. He's a predator. He loves to score, and on any day he plays, he will score. And once again there, we're seeing the humility of Lionel Messi, we're seeing the sportsmanship, and as he always does, he always says good things, even about his biggest rivals. Messi was also asked about his fellow countryman and somebody who has been linked to the club Inter's Lautaro Martinez. What do you think about him? And Messi replied there with, he is spectacular, a really, really impressive player. He's exploded recently, and now he's showing the world what a good player he is. He's very strong, he's good 1-against-1, he scores a lot of goals, and he's always going to fight out on the field. He's got so many qualities. He's a complete forward. And in addition there to that, Messi was asked about the similarities between Lautaro and Luis Suarez, and Messi said there, I agree. Lautaro has much resemblance there to Luis Suarez. They both manage very well on the pitch by using their body. They hold the ball up in this way, and they use their attributes very, very well. I can see the comparison. And last but not least, of course, Messi was asked about Neymar. He was asked very directly, do you still want Neymar to return to the club? And Messi said there, I've said it many, many times. On a sporting level, Ney is one of the best in the world. And yes, I would love him to return. And in terms of a person, in terms of Neymar's personality, he was a very, very happy person. A good person to have around. He was always happy in the dressing room. We had fun on and off the pitch. He brought joy to this team. And Messi was then asked what he would say to those who don't want Neymar to return to Barcelona, and he said, look, it is normal for the people to see him in that way because of the way that Neymar left, and it also bothered me at the time, the way that he left the club. We tried to convince him not to, but in the end, we all want to try and win, we all want to try and be the best, and he left. But as I've said before, he is one of the best, and he contributed so much to us on the pitch, but it's understandable that people do feel that way and don't want him to return because of the way that he left and the way in which it happened. And that there for me was an incredible insight into the mind of Lionel Messi. Like I say, we don't often get to hear that much from him, but recently he has been doing a few more of these interviews, and it really is fascinating to see what goes on in Messi's head, and in particular, to get some insight there into off the field. We hear so much written about Messi, about the power that he has, about what he does, about what he chooses, but as we've seen there, Messi is simply one of us at times. He's waiting to see what happens, he's not bringing in players, he's not hiring and firing coaches. Many of the things you read there about Messi will be absolutely fabricated nonsense. It truly, truly will be. He's a player at the end of the day. That's what he loves doing. That's his speciality. And all that he wants to do is succeed at Barcelona. What we can get from that is that he's not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, and he's still waiting to see how this big saga develops, and I don't feel as though he's completely convinced right now about what's happening behind the scenes, but we're going to have to wait and see. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below on everything that Leo has said in this interview. I will see you soon, of course, with more videos. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, but until next time, as always, Visca el Barça!